What's up, chat? I'm Dibbles, and welcome back to dibbles.dot.esports. Well, I'm 1 for 1 from last night's games. At least I got the scorelines right, with each series going 2-1. But, the DRX Vitality game was it was close. It wasn't way closer than I thought, but it was close. After Vitality did, kind of stomp out on the first map, there were two 13-11s that went both teams' way, but unfortunately, Vitality took the win. I'm not surprised, though, and I expected Vitality to make playoffs. So they're our first team to make top 4. And then the EDG G2 game, well, I'm happy I got that one right, because I went against, NA, but EDG are exactly what I expected from a champs level team, and they showed it on the Fracture especially, because that was the one game I actually woke up to watch, and when I saw it, oh my god, G2 got destroyed. And we'll talk about it in the video going into the round 3, and I have to VOD review it as well, but I don't know, G2 looked pretty shaky and didn't have enough answers for EDG's defense aggression. So I don't know, but again, I'm not surprised. This was my finals actually going into Bangkok. This would be my grand finals between these two teams, but it was early insight into how that one went. In today's video, we'll be looking at the Swiss round 2 lows. So all the teams that lost in round 1, and also all the second seed teams, since the first seed teams 2-0'd everyone. The winners of these games will match up against DRX or G2 in Swiss round 3, which is not going to be fun. Before we begin, if you like this type of content and want to see more coverage and predictions for Masters Bangkok, please like and subscribe, and comment below who you think will win the following matchups. Now, let's get into it. So, here are our teams that are playoff bound. We have Team Vitality and EDG. Good on them. I'm not surprised. I think a lot of people expected the top 4 to contain these two teams. Maybe not Maybe people had EDG and G2, but the way the matchups worked, if it wasn't Vitality, it would have been G2, I think. I'm pretty sure G2 is going to follow suit, but here are top 2 in the top 4. But let's focus on our first matchup between Trace and T1. Trace are coming off of a defeat against G2, who will potentially become an opponent of theirs in round 3 should they win. Or maybe not, because I forgot if rematch protections are in place for round 3 of Swiss, or if it's still region protection. But regardless, Trace will definitely look to pick Lotus in their pool. Trace actually looked like a pretty solid team, especially on the Lotus. You can tell they were confident on that map. They had a good attack half despite going down 7-5. Their attack on Lotus was stifled by G2's defensive positioning, but Trace always took aggro into A or C and basically avoided B for the most part. However, G2 had better answers for Trace's game plans, and when you have players like Leaf or Valen getting 3Ks alone on C, what can you do? Trace did have moments of overheating that did go unpunished at times. For example, Feng got a 4K on 10 HP, which, good on him. He got his clip, but he took aggressive heaven control on A by himself on a G2 bonus. So, of course, it won them the round, but if G2 were playing for trades and playing together, that would have been easily punished. The Abyss did not go Trace's way at all, as G2 stomped them 13-3. Looking back at it, they did not have an answer for Leaf's chamber once he swapped to A main, as Trace were execing onto A after pushing the A main player back, as G2 started to play for the retake anyway. I did like how they responded to flank pressure from G2 on the post plant, which Trace's answer to that was to take CT control, but when you taking that control on G2's map with G2's protocols, it accounted for this push, and it was ineffective as G2 had better trading and frankly better aim on this map. After one timeout from Josh RT, which G2 were down literally 3-2, G2 flipped the switch and then didn't let Trace back in the game as G2 won 11 rounds in a row. So Trace really struggled to find their foothold back into the map, and I'm wondering how this will impact Trace's mental, because you lost your map pick and then you got destroyed on your opponent's map pick. You're 2-0 and already in elimination. I am concerned about Trace's mental, and I hope the day off has done them well to prepare against T1, who are looking better than their kickoff form in my opinion. Now, I did skim through the VOD, and by skim, I mean I just put on 1.5x and didn't take as many notes, but T1 definitely looked better than I expected. On Fracture, they actually did a good job staying in the game on their defensive half, and it never felt like Vitality were running away with the map, and in fact, T1 had a lead at 10-7 by round 17. But Vitality flipped the switch at the end of the game and found the 6 rounds in a row needed to close out the map. The bind was better since it was T1's map pick, but they struggled to take a lead and find their footing in the map. Again, Vitality are just a better team in general, and when you have the Vitality players making plays and trading better than T1, it was scrappy. I'm not going to say it was a perfect game by Vitality. It was a close map, And Vitality often made a lot of like, oh, we're just going to kind of peek out together with no info and kind of catch them off guard. And it kind of worked, but T1 also were prepared for it in some senses. But ultimately, Vitality just had the better aimers on the day. So like DRX, T1 have a really solid util usage, especially on the Fracture. And they have set ideas on how to retake sites and also how to attack and execute. But their trade game is not as good as DRX's, and it doesn't favor them, especially against a team like Vitality. Between these two teams, I feel like they're just the A-tier versions of their first seed counterparts. Trades have good aggro plays and can play with confidence like EDG, but they don't have the players who can make individual plays that win them rounds like on EDG. For example, Chichu and Kong Kong, they had multiple rounds where they're getting 2Ks, 3Ks that would put them in really good positions, and that will allow the team to play into their advantages. And Trace, yes, Fang went off and got like a 4K, but that was like on a bonus, and I didn't really remember him doing that multiple times. T1 have good util usage like DRX, and they are able to play discipline and have a good understanding of the map. However, DRX have excellent util usage, and their team play is much better than T1's. And also, DRX have freeing. T1 just don't have them. So that's also just a big downside. But no, but in all seriousness, T1 are a good team, and I do favor them slightly in this matchup. But let's review how the maps stack up against our two teams. Starting with Split, I'll give it to T1 because Trace never played Split. For Pearl, T1 again. They just have one more win over Trace, and although both teams didn't play it, I'm gonna favor the team that just has more wins on it. Like, neither team have convinced me on this map either, to be fair, so I'm just gonna give it, like, just based on the data, I'll give it to T1. Lotus, Trace, I think even though they lost, I think they are more confident on the map, and they showed they have really good attack ideas. And if they fix their defensive mistakes, I think over T1 they'll be able to win. Bind, I'll give it to T1 because they keep peeking into it, and they swapped over the fade into the Gecko, which I believe was the right call from their kickoff composition. But this could go Trace's way since they run the Vice Lock on Bind. This is a 50-50 map, but I'm going to give this to T1, who just have more experience on it in general. And they played a close game against Vitality on it. So, you know what? I'll favor them on this one. For Haven, T1, because also, like, they've won it once despite losing twice, and Trace have lost on it. Same with the Fracture, T1. Although, yes, T1 have lost it 4 times now. They still have won it once. And they look good on this map. They just can't close it out. And, Trace lost Fracture the one time they played it. Abyss, I'm going to give to Trace because T1 banned it in their kickoff, and they first banned it against Vitality. So I believe Abyss is probably one of T1's weaker maps, and I think this will go the way of Trace if they were to replay it. Also, Trace had good attack ideas. It was just that G2, it's like G2's map pick. G2 just flipped the switch, and G2 showed how to counter Trace on this map. So if Trace take more mid control and properly taking CT control, or just, holding on to their positions in post plant, they can probably like edge a win out against T1 on this map. And looking at like maybe how a sample map video would go, if T1 or Team B, then Trace would ban the Fracture, T1 would ban Abyss, Trace would pick Lotus, T1 would pick Bind, Trace would ban Haven, T1 would ban Split, and the last map would be Pearl. And if the veto were to play out like this, for example, right, then this favors T1 2-1. I think Trace will take the first map, but then lose on the Bind and not be able to find themselves on the Pearl, especially with the pressure of elimination. T1 might just be called 2-1 from now on, because if they decide to do what they did in kickoff, I can see them finding a win despite being a map down. Also, Trace, before entering this tournament, always won their first map pick until they met G2, and T1 aren't that consonant or number, so hopefully they aren't already mentally boomed from their previous match. I think whoever has a weaker mental will lose this game, and I favor T1 having more resilience, since of course they've been in situations where they've been down a map and came back 2-1. So I'll give it to 2-1. Oh boy. Like, what the hell is up with Sen getting matchups that can go either way? If you thought the DRX game was a coin flip, get ready to flip more here. But of course, let's start with Sen. Lotus was terrible. It was atrocious. It was, oh my god. I need to delete it from my mind. Thank goodness we aren't the only 13-3 team in this tournament, because DRX sat us down on C, and Sen had no answer for DRX's util barrage. The answer was, okay, let's take space before they take it, and it like didn't work at all. So many kills could be found with Teho salvers or off of the Teho breach util. Like Sen got destroyed from just util alone. I can tell you what 3 rounds went Sen's way. The round 3 bonus, Sen had a good retake against DRX, who just had weaker guns. Round 7, Sen had a good 5v3 advantage thanks to DRX having like a messy B exec, which they proceeded to ignore the rest of the game. Round 8, Sen won the A rebel fight and didn't overheat. Like that's it. That's all Sen had. Otherwise, DRX had better util, better post-plant positioning, better attack executes, and like Mako was entering on Omen. Like bro, he like double TP'd into the back of C site and caught the Viper like out of position, and it was just like, what do you do? The Viper got stunned and the Viper got either stunned and flashed or just flashed, but like, what can you do in that situation? Like DRX were in control and Sen could not find a footing, no matter what. And the Sen attack half, like no, Freeing got an ace. That's all you need to know. He got an ace, and that was pretty much it. Mental boomed from there. But on Haven, Sen bounced back kinda, and they showed some strength. I didn't think Sen would change their Haven comp, but I like this one more than the Euro ISO. But again, it's just like another Teho they're going against, and Flashback popped off on this map on defense. He really anchored down the C site and found a lot of value with the Cypher setups. And although Sen did take this, Sen lost this map 13-10. It was closer, it was better, but Sen, again, it took too long to warm up for Sen. And they fell below everyone's expectations for sure. They're not like a bad team relative to this tournament, but I'm not sure how they really fare against Team Liquid. Looking back at the split economy for TL, I was mistaken in thinking they won a decent amount of ecos, but I think it was more of TL finding a lot of opening picks on the ecos, but EDG closing the round anyway, thanks to individual play and having better guns. TL actually struggled to win gun rounds over EDG when both teams could full buy, but that split was really close, and Camo and Kiko are looking to become the Shaq and Kobe of EMEA. Those two dropped 89 kills between them, and they were only outdone by China's duo of Chichu and Kong Kong, who dropped 102 kills on split, which is insane. Nats had a good game, but he definitely got IGL diff by nobody. And when you go into an overtime, at one point, strats are just thrown out the window and it becomes a mudfest, and EDG brawled it better than Team Liquid. This could have gone TL's way if they hadn't made a mistake on round 23 with the Astro suck, but, like, hindsight is always going to be 2020 there. Hopefully TL fixed their mistakes before going against Sen. The Pearl is where I'm more concerned about Team Liquid. They swapped everyone's roles besides Nats and Camo, and even then Nats was playing the Chamber instead of a lurking Sentinel, which I've been told that in his Gambit days his Chamber has been like a beast, but the Chamber back then is extremely different from the Chamber now, and also Chamber is more of a tower instead of an anchor as a Sentinel, so you have to take really aggressive lines thanks to like the TP, and you have to be very like careful where you position everything. And when you're going against the Yoru, who has a clone that can bait out like an op shot, right? If you have the flashes which bait out the TP, and if you have the teleport, which if you know where the Chamber's teleport setup is, you can easily like counter that. And like Yoru is just a really good counter in general. And also with the ult even too, it's hard for a Chamber to go against a Yoru, and EDG were aware and knew how to play against it. And Nats did not find a lot of value as he ended up getting 2 first kills but 5 first stats. And then Team Liquid just lost their composure in the second half especially. After like round 9, they just lost 9 rounds in a row. They were able to find one like consolidated round before it ultimately like EDG closing the map. So I don't know. Both of these teams, Sen and Team Liquid, haven't convinced me that they're like world beaters at all. And now they're just gonna go against each other. So this is where the coin flips come into play. The first coin flip we have is whether or not we get Elimination Run Liquid or Glue Stick Eater Liquid. Because if they're in elimination form, they're gonna be super like Elimination Run Liquid are like world beaters. The next coin flip is whether we get a Angry Sen or a Happy to Be Here Sen, who are just like slow to start. Because in Angry Sen, we've seen it against MIBR, it's like they look like the best team in the world. But Happy to Be Here Sen, like you can't just give a map just to warm up. It doesn't work like that in this game. And then the final coin flip is just who's gonna win, because honestly I don't know. But maybe we can figure it out looking into the map favorites. Starting with split, obviously Sentinels. It's Sen split. Their defense is going to be much better than EDG's, and if it goes to if it comes down to like a defense half on the second, Sen are winning that. Pearl, I'm going to give it to Sen because TL did not convince me on their Pearl showing. and like Teal lost it 4 times now. So Sen obviously inconsistent on this map, but they're gonna be better, and they should definitely have fixed their defensive errors showcased during the MIBR game. Lotus, I'm gonna give it to Sen. Both teams haven't convinced me, but like if Liquid are gonna run their like troll comp, I think Sen will have the answers to counter it, unless Liquid pick up the DRX comp. But I don't think Liquid have the playstyle and team coordination that DRX do to be able to have the same effect. For the bind, I'm gonna give it to Team Liquid because Sen have only won this map against 100 Thieves once, and they haven't picked into it ever since then. And Team Liquid should have more experience since they won twice and lost twice. That's 4 maps of experience. And yes, it's a lot of VOD for Sen, but I don't think Bind's in their like views right now. Haven, Team Liquid have 3 wins. They're 3-0 on this map. Sen are 0-2. Just like and across 0-2 across 2 different comps. So I'm gonna just give this to Team Liquid. Fracture, Team Liquid again. For Fracture, Sen have lost this only once and played it only once. While Liquid, of course, they trolled in the beginning, but they bounced back, and I think they're gonna be favored on this map. So they're gonna win this one. However, it is interesting because both teams did ban this map, and I don't think it's gonna be seen in play because Sen is probably gonna ban this first. And on the Abyss, I mean TL have 4 wins in a row, and like Sen are okay on this map, but it won't be enough. And Sen fans, it's not looking good, guys. And here's an example video that could happen. For this matchup especially, I think whoever is Team B will have a massive advantage. So like the worst case for Sen is that we're Team A, and we begin by banning Fracture. Liquid would respond by banning Lotus. Sen would pick into the split. TL would pick into the Haven. Sen ban Abyss, and then TL easily just ban Pearl, leaving the last map of Bind. Which, like, we haven't seen enough of Sen to see whether or not they play just good anti against 100 Thieves or if they have good ideas on this map. And TL have just more experience on it, so I'd favor Team Liquid on them. Regardless, I think ultimately this is a battle of a cold starter versus a light switch team. So if Sen take too long to warm into the first map, this can be a 2-0 series. If Liquid flip the switch to kick off elimination form, they also 2-0. But if they switch to Glue Stick Eater, then Sen can definitely 2-1 this series. If both teams play for their strength, then this becomes a map 3 decider. And Team Liquid would win this series 2-1 in the example of this map veto. But because I believe Team Liquid's map pool is slightly stronger than Sen's, I have to favor Liquid. Unfortunately, I just think Sen haven't convinced me that they can like start strong in games, and it's too like you can't be like making fake comebacks in the second half of the second map. So Team Liquid, you have my pick. SENCITY, I think our time has come. So for my predictions, which I'm 4-2 at the moment, so this is about to chalk it, or like, I might get like +2 here, or I might go 1-for-1 again. I don't mind. But for my predictions, I'm locking in T1 to go 2-1 on this one. And yes, I know the Sen fan has his team getting eliminated, but it's okay. Copium, listen, we get to go home a little early. We get to say that we went to Masters Madrid over 100 Thieves and like our NA rivals and Loud, and we get to take a long time. We got to take a break, and also we can take the time to work on our map pool because God Almighty knows we need it right now for stage 1. This marks the end of my video. After I edit this video, I'm going to begin VOD reviewing for the other, like, oh my god, I have like 5 maps to VOD review. But I'm going to begin preparing for tomorrow's video, which will be the Swiss round 3 predictions. And, let's see. I know I had Sen going to top 4, and like it is doable because like I am just making a prediction and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but it's not looking too good. I think whoever wins the round 2 lows is still going to get eliminated by the top seeds, unless DRX like the funny thing about DRX is that we're going to see who the 5th 6th curse follows. Let's say if T1 wins, right? And like DRX and T1 go against each other, or if regardless, one of these teams is probably going to be eliminated in Swiss 3, right? So it's either going to be Stax and Buzz, so the old DRX, or it's going to be like the current DRX with who only has Mako as the original member. So is it a player followed curse or is it a team followed curse? We're going to find that out on round 3, which I believe is Monday. Yes. Other than that, let me know in the comment section what teams you have going and how you have the matchups looking like. Thanks for watching. I always appreciate it. I'm Dibbles. This is dibbles.esports, and I'll catch you in the next one.